Hey, how's it going? It's Fabian back with another video. And this one I'm talking about my DIY lap steel. I had a lot of questions from a lot of people asking more details about how I built this. So I'm going to try and answer some of your questions in this video. So unfortunately, I didn't manage to film myself whilst I built this lap steel, so I'm not going to be able to show you exactly how I built it with footage, but still hopefully you get a good idea with this video how I went about building this. So step one, I got myself a plank of wood and I made sure that it was big enough for the fretboard, the headstock, and the pickup and the bridge and tailpiece. Just careful if you're buying solid mahogany because it's really heavy. And also it's super hard wood to cut, which I realized, so it was actually a little bit longer than I wanted and I had to cut about sort of this much off on the end, and I just had like my handsaw and it just took me forever to cut off. Also be careful if you're dealing with like mahogany and tropical woods, hardwoods. They can be quite toxic if you're cutting into them, so make sure if you're doing this inside that it's well ventilated and that you're wearing a mask. Preferably kind of do this outside if you can. Next up, I did all the measuring, and what's most important here is to measure the right distance. You need to be really specific in the measurement from the nut to the saddle. The way to figure out the length of this is you need to first get yourself a fretboard, and you can find these fretboards online. I searched around, I tried to find the exact one that I bought from the company, but I lost it or I forgot it. I'll see if I can find that and put it in the description below. It was a company in Germany, I think. But I had a look quickly, and there's definitely some ones you can find on eBay from the UK. They look pretty good and very similar to the one that I found. You want to measure the distance from the end of the fretboard to the 12th fret, and then basically you double that, and that's your distance from the nut to the saddle. I actually bought the saddle and the tailpiece on eBay as well. I'll see if I can put a link for that in the description below. And I think they seem pretty good quality, and they're pretty good quality, and they're really easy to fix. You just screw them in with some screws. And I liked the string spacing as well. The string spacing is quite wide, which I really like on lap steels. I don't like it when the string spacing is really narrow together. I like them quite spaced out. I think they came as a pair, the saddle and the tailpiece, so that really helps because they're exactly the same distance in terms of where the strings sit. And then for the nut, I actually made it out of a piece of aluminium that was a right angle, and you can just buy these from your local DIY store. They're really common and really easy to pick up. And I just made sure when I cut the grooves in the nut that they were the same distance on where the strings sit to the saddle and the tailpiece. And then after marking everything out, I just screwed them on the saddle, the tailpiece, and the nut. And for attaching the fretboard, it's actually really easy. I just put a little bit of glue underneath, and then you have these little holes already in the fretboard, and I just put some drawing pins and just knocked them in, and that kind of keeps it all in place, and it seemed to work perfectly. Next comes the headstock, and this was a little bit more tricky. I wanted to have this particular headstock that kind of sits in the body of the guitar. Again, I'll put the links for all these in the description below where you can get them. I think I got this one from the States. I first drew around the headstock to kind of mark where I wanted it to be, and that kind of gave me my mark to chisel out enough for it to sit in there nicely. For the tuning pegs, I actually got a pair of classical tuning pegs for a classical guitar, because they come as 3 on each side, all attached as one piece, and that actually really helps because they kind of just sit in there, and because they're all attached in one piece, they kind of don't move around, and they kind of are able to sit in there very nicely, and they don't move at all. Now for the pickup, I did the same thing as I did for the headstock. I actually marked out where I wanted the pickup to be, and I gouged out enough with the hammer and chisel so the pickup could sit nicely in there. And I drilled a hole in the side there so the cables could run out. And I got a standard end pin jack, and I just attached that to the side of the guitar. To reduce the amount of noise, I ran an earth cable and attached it to the saddle. So it's attached to all the metal on the lap steel, so that reduces the earth hum. And lastly, I made kind of a cover for the pickup, and this is made from the bottom of a guitar pedal, and then I just cut out the right size for the pickup and just put it over the top. And this again, I think, reduces a little bit of the hum that you get from the single coil pickup. So hopefully I answered some of your questions there. Please, if you have any more questions, let me know. I'll put in all the dimensions and everything, as much detail as I can, in the description below, and the links there so you can get all these things for yourself. And I'm still yet to finish this guitar. I still haven't put an actual finish on it. It's still rough wood. I sanded everything down to really fine sand. I'm still yet to give it an actual finish, and I want to put some legs on it as well. At the moment, I'm just kind of using this keyboard stand frame, which is okay, but it's not a permanent solution. So I want to add some really nice legs to it at some point, and maybe I'll do a video about that as well. Thanks so much for watching. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.